It's so normal, really, to attract someone with the same script as you at times,
Oh yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
And when we
and
do,
that's why,
here's what
yeah,
happens.
mm,
We now try to change them
yes,
to
to
be
what we
very
know.
different. And then when
Mm,
they do start to change, because we duress them, we've badgered them, we've really got on and nagged them and da da da. Over the years, we now fall out of love with them because actually
mm,
what we fell in love with was actually difference more so than sameness. You see, the
mm,
difference is that person has got some stuff and does life some ways that actually I admire and I like, and it's not quite like what I do. I like that. And actually, we gravitate probably, it's called the collusive fit. We probably gravitate to people more about difference, but of course, it's similarity that also brings us together in the early
right.
days. But there's always something we admire about the other person that we don't
Mm,
have that they can help us with. But the
mm,
bizarre
mm,
human behavior is we now spend the rest of our life trying to change them to become more like us. And when eventually we wrestle them to the ground to become more like us, we fall out of love with them because you're
mm.
so different and changed, and I can't stay with you. What a bizarre human behavior we get up to.
It is. And what's really fascinating is, as you said, what attracted us to that same that same individual who later on we fall out of love. But do you think that's where because obviously my thing's about the over 40s, and do you think that values because sometimes we're attracted to people who have the same values on appearance as us, but sometimes when we go into a relationship, we're not presenting who we truly are, right? So in the beginning, we present something, and perhaps that's what they were attracted to. And as the honeymoon period
Yeah,
unfolds, and we become comfortable and we feel vulnerable, and we think, okay, this person is someone I can lean on. And
yeah,
I start to unveil, and
yeah,
that's when the problem
yeah.
starts.
We all enter a relationship with our layers,
Yeah.
masks people wear.
Mm,
Eric Byrne talked about masks people wear. So we're on our best behavior and we'll show an external layer of us. And as we get to know the person, of course, we
mm,
become a bit more vulnerable to let them see a little bit more of not quite an intimate layer, but another layer of us. And as we spend time getting to know, yeah, we may graduate, but a lot of us may never let anybody get too close because there's some hurt we're carrying back there, and few people ever get quite as close. Relationships are about vulnerability and taking risks. We cannot have a beautiful, progressively developing relationship over the years without taking risks and being vulnerable. But there are some people, of course, in relate that don't carry the other person's vulnerability very well. And
mm,
so when we recognize a level of feeling hurt, then of course the brain that doesn't like pain will quickly scurry back in and get back in and put the layers and the layers and the layers and the layers and ain't going to come back out very quickly at all because once bitten, twice shy, you know, twice bitten, 10 times shy. And so there is this inner child that we all of us at times have that's hurt and
mm.
vulnerable, and we don't want to get hurt again. We don't want to get hurt again, so we protect the inner child, and it'll take a while to strip back layers once it's got hurt again and again.
Yeah. And so that's what you said quite lovely, about the inner child. And people are unaware in relationships is that you've changed, but what's coming out is the inner child, right? They responding with now with the layers.
Yeah.
And that's person seeing that they've changed. But really they're coming from a place, as you say, of hurt or defensiveness. And one thing I have noticed that men will stay in their shell a lot longer than women.
Um, I don't know because it's a dating game, and all of us will want to protect ourselves from hurt. So that might be
Mm,
your experience, but I can't comment on that because it depends. But I also am aware you're going to have a female perspective. I'm going to have a male perspective
right.
about things. I would be more neutral and I would say it depends on the level of past hurt that has impacted that young child. about the layers that we're willing to strip off and how quickly. It
Right.
really is about the hurt that the young child is experiencing, because some of us never let go and reveal the true self, because the pain back there that we're still carrying. And here's the beauty of why I do this thing called EMDR, because it can go after that stuff
Yeah.
really quite quickly and deal with decades and decades and decades of stuff. And here's the deal. A lot of times we can't even find the stuff. We don't even know it's there. But because EMDR isn't about me or the therapist, it's all about your brain. Your brain is actually carrying all that information in the filing cabinet up here. I think it's under K. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Remember that one, 1978 it was, or 2000? Do you remember that one? It was about 3 in the afternoon. You know, don't be ridiculous, Gary. What are you talking about? Of course I don't remember. You don't remember, but guess what? Your brain remembers and it's carrying it. But it's blotted it out for you to remember, because you'd have a nervous breakdown if you kept remembering all the stuff. So it blots it out for you not to be able to find it. When EMDR starts, the brain is able to actually start to find stuff to give you a different perspective on what you've been carrying for lots of years.
Yeah, and what's quite clear, what you said, that something, some year or some event could be painful for one person and
Absolutely.
not for the
And not
other.
for the
And
others.
other,
Yeah. Don't make
yeah,
comparisons. Don't make comparisons.
don't make comparisons. Right, that's really important to know. And also, when I talked about women, I suppose what I'm referring to is that women really, I see women really wanted to fix the problem, right? They really want to resolve it. And what I have found, not all the time, because obviously this is your work, but when I'm working with people who are in relationships but not in couple therapy, they always say that, well, I've tried to get him to go. He doesn't want to go into therapy. I suppose I'm making that assumption based on that.
There's a lot of stuff about men becoming vulnerable. Um,
Mm,
you see, there's so much packed in that one, Caroline, because what you need
yeah.
to, if why don't you go back to driving in the car and before
Mm,
sat navs and you're lost and you got that book map, paper map, and
mm.
darling, she says, why don't we stop and ask somebody? No, I got this, I can find that. Yeah, can you see something
Oh,
coming out of men? There's a caveman thing that once he's got his
absolutely.
beautiful cave woman next to him, he's got
Mhm.
to find a way. And so there's a manness stuff, there's a masculinity stuff, but there's we need to, etc. So there's a lot of stuff that's packed in. Why won't men get therapy and get help? We won't even
Mm,
let a third person help us to find direction, let alone um,
mm.
getting deeper help in therapy. There's a lot of stuff packed underneath what you just said.